So I'm Heidi Hurd, and I'm a professor of law and philosophy at the University of Illinois.
I'm Michelle Madden-Dempsey. I currently have laryngitis, so I'm whispering my answers. I'm the Harold Reuschlein Scholar Chair at the Villanova University Charles Witcher School of Law.
My name is Veronica Rodriguez Blanco, so I work on conceptions of value to shed light on private legal theory and public authority.
My name is Amber Polk and I teach law.
So my name's Leo Lawson. I'm a DPhil student, again based at Oxford, and I work on legal reasoning and judicial review.
Hi, my name is Heidi. My last name is Malm. I am now a professor emeritus.
Hi, I'm Alma. I teach law and write in law and philosophy.
I'm Anya and I'm finishing my PhD at NYU.
I'm Vera Bergelsen and I teach law.
My name is Pia Chivle. I'm based in the University of Oxford. I'm a DPhil student and I'm working on an account of the administrative branch or public administration.
I'm Philippa Pais and I'm a DPhil candidate in Oxford working on law and language and justifying arbitrary decision making.
My name's Anne Levy. I'm broadly speaking political philosophy.
I'm Sari Kiselewski. I teach philosophy at Queen's College, CUNY.
My name is Emilia Mickiewicz. I'm a founder and editor of Just Theory podcast, and I also teach law at Newcastle Law School.
I'm Alexander Wawrzystuk. I'm one half of Just Theory and a JSD student at NYU Law.
Oh, that is just really tough. I am torn between my father and my husband, Michael Moore. My father, because he was a PhD political philosopher who took me out when I was a little girl every month on a date and taught me different philosophical theories. So at 6 I was a utilitarian, and at 7 I was a phenomenologist, and at 8 I was an existentialist. And then he went back to law school, and every night throughout his 3 years of law school, I came in and I got a case for the day. And so I was pretty programmed to be a legal philosopher, but of course I married Michael Moore. And that just pretty much sums it all up.
John Gardner, he was the professor of jurisprudence at Oxford and my doctoral supervisor. I first encountered his work when I was an LLM student at the London School of Economics, and with each piece of John's I read, new worlds of understanding opened up to me, and I thought, I have to meet this person who is this John Gardner. And not only did I get to meet him, but he agreed to supervise my doctoral studies and was a brilliant, wonderful supervisor, very demanding, not always full of praise. He demanded a lot, expected a lot, and my favorite memory, perhaps one of my favorite memories in my life, certainly my favorite memory as an academic, was when John came up to me at a conference after I had made some comments on another academic's paper, and he sat next to me and he looked at me and he said, "You're becoming quite a good philosopher."
Well, I guess the discussions that I went to school that encouraged debate. So my peers were my highest inspiration. I remember them as extremely all intelligent, engaged, and curious.
For this career, I think having Heidi Hurd as my criminal law professor made me think, I want to do that.
Ooh, tricky. I think, like, at the moment, it has to be my supervisor, Liz Fisher. Like, honestly, such a superhuman that I can't, speechless.
Yeah, I kind of fell into this, but I think it was the professors who, every time I had something interesting to think about. Philosophy was awesome from my very first day in college. And Paul Wienpaul at Santa Barbara, he was talking about the pre-Socratics. I was like, wow, I'd never thought about that. And then my second class was an ethics class, and the professor said, yeah, we're going to talk about the right and the good. And he says, the right act is the act that produces the best consequences. And I said, yeah, and class was over. And the next day, he showed us, not only is that false, but we didn't believe it if we had thought about it. Then he gives us the true right answer. Then the next day he shows us, come on, you guys, if you had thought about it, you wouldn't have believed this. So I so wanted to learn how to not be falsely persuaded, how to think about my positions. And then philosophy just kept doing it. And then I applied to one graduate school, got in, and Joel Feinberg was just so incredibly awesome. And I just wanted to always do philosophy that had an application to law and medicine.
Not really in my career, but my grandmother. She's a smart and intelligent woman who never got to study. So, yeah.
My friend Victoria.
I guess when I was a student, I saw one of my professors running into another professor's office and screaming, "I got this fantastic idea." And I felt so jealous. I said, I want to do it too.
It's a very hard one. I feel like personally it was my mom, who's a judge, so I looked up to her a lot. And like very unrelatedly, I think Bernard Williams.
My dad, because he's always asked me to justify my positions at the dinner table, and so I really had to back up my own arguments. And also the communities that surround me.
Well, I don't know about inspiration, but Norman Kretzmann stopped me from dropping out of my PhD program at the end of my first year by telling me that I was smart. So I'm going to say Norman Kretzmann.
My father.
I would say Ludwig Wittgenstein because of his integrity as a scholar and his openness to revise his own ideas.
The biggest inspiration in my career was probably my dad. I think it's because he would always challenge me since very early age on every single assertion I've ever made. And he taught me a lot about plants and the world around me. But I also have to then say my mom, because she will immediately become jealous as soon as I mention my dad first.
So I wish that I had had somebody who warned me on the cusp between being a graduate student and starting a career, that generosity of judgment and genuine curiosity about the true virtues and attributes of future colleagues is something that I should investigate for myself and not take for granted the claims of those who sort of first embraced me.
Savor every moment. I think I did that. I was also having 2 children and teaching full time, but it was the most delightful experience. Read as much and as deeply as you can, and just savor that your job is just to think and learn and challenge yourself and explore ideas. It's such a gift, so savor every moment.
Be more imaginative probably, and take your time to read quite a lot and explore different things, and do not rush to do things quickly within the format of professionalism, which means, you know, papers to publish very quickly. Just take your time.
You will appreciate Kant, trust me.
You can do it.
I was way too much of a perfectionist in the writing, the transition sentences. I mean, that thing was beautiful, when it would have been much wiser to work on the publication level and not make the dissertation that nobody, not even my parents, will read. I did get a piece of advice from Jeff Murphy. Stop reading. I mean, read some, but you don't have to read everything, because then the first half of your dissertation will just be thinking you got to explain, and you'll never get to your own contribution. So there's a point where you stop reading and think and make your contribution. And I wish I had made that even faster.
There really is no finish line, and you think you're going to finish the dissertation and then your life's going to start, but it's just always like this. In a good way.
Detach your self-worth from your work, don't work for other people's approval, and have a hobby outside of academia. Multiple hobbies outside of academia.
Study philosophy.
It's all about resilience.
As a graduate student myself, I'm more keen on hearing what the other people have said about this one.
Don't just take analytic philosophy. Learn some other stuff too.
To fake it more.
Put your ideas out there even if they are not finished or perfect.
Since I'm still a graduate student, I will probably tell myself not to take life so seriously. That's the advice that I've been given by so many people around me. But I guess maybe become more detached from your work and enjoy some hobbies.
Wow. It wouldn't be a book, it would be a story. And it would be a children's story. And it would be the story about the little girl on the beach with the starfish, the thousands of starfish. And as she's walking down the beach, she's throwing each starfish back into the ocean to save them. And a man comes along and he says to her, "You can't save all of these starfish." And she's just crestfallen. And she thinks, well, of course, the world's problems are so great. I can't solve them all. And so I should just give up. And then she pauses for a bit and she picks up another starfish and she throws it back. And she says, yeah, I can't throw them all back, but I can throw this one back. Namely, I would read a story that endlessly re-incentivized me to work on the problems that I can work on.
I'm going to go with Joseph Raz, Practical Reason and Norms. It's a small book, but it is one that repays revisiting. And it's sort of like what I was saying with John's work. It sort of sets out a framework for understanding the human condition, the relationship of value and reason, and our engagement with it. I'd be so. If I got to choose a second one that wasn't philosophical, I would say The Phantom Toll Booth by Norton Juster is my all-out favorite book.
Yes, I like complex thinking and very thick and very dense text. So I guess Aristotle's Nicomachean Ethics.
The Lord of the Rings.
I've been thinking about one book. Okay, if I could bound a book, I'd print every single page from Wikipedia and bind it, and that'll be my book. But otherwise, yeah, maybe the Encyclopedia Britannica.
Talking about inspiration, philosophy, I still get tingles when I read John Stuart Mill's On Liberty. It's just beautiful. But the book I've read over and over and over, well before I was a philosophy professor, was Candide. Loved it.
It's going to have to be something open-ended, so poetry, Rumi's collected works.
Homegoing by Yagiyazi.
Something longish, like War and Peace.
The collected works of Gabriel Garcia Marquez.
Again, I don't think I have read the book that I would read forever, so I'll keep trying to find that one.
Either Hume's treatise or Kant's first critique, because I want to know how Kant differs from Hume. But Hume is my main passion, always has been.
The Mushroom at the End of the World by Anna Lowenhut-Singh.
The collected works of Iris Murdoch. That's a very obscure answer for me. It's a collection of poems by a Polish poet, Edward Stachura. And the reason why is because when I was 13, it took me a long time to save up to buy that book, and I still read it every summer when I visit my parents.
Here's what I said for many years. You're going to really laugh. For many years, I said I would drive an 18-wheeler. I'm not kidding. I love big machinery. And I always thought that it's really important to have a career where you have an exit strategy, where you can see an alternative where you would be just as happy as the one you're in, so that nothing big ever turns on your choice to stay where you are. And for years and years and years, I just thought, you know what? I could quit the Penn Law School. I could quit being the dean at Illinois. And I could go, and in 6 months, I could get my trucker's license, and I could hit the road. And for me, that was actually a really cool idea. Since then, I think I'd rather be a forester or a landscape artist. But at that point is you always want an exit strategy. And so it's not an academic question to me as to what I would have been if I hadn't been an academic. I have nurtured alternative careers throughout my life as a way of giving present meaning to my current one, such that every day I choose what I do, because I could choose something else if I wanted to. And I'd like to be a trucker.
I would have returned to my previous career. I was a litigator for 6 years before entering my LLM and then doctoral studies, and then entering the academy as a professor. I'd probably be a lot wealthier if I'd stayed a medical malpractice attorney.
Probably I would have loved to be a politician in my country, Venezuela.
I would have been a computer scientist, probably like in a research department in one of the FANG.
I mean, my immediate answer would be my actual alternative career, which is a solicitor, but that's not the career I'd want. So actually, probably I wouldn't mind being an architect, but I'm just not mathematically capable.
Either a law professor or marine biologist. I love science.
I want to be a caretaker of a forest.
German chancellor or journalist.
Psychotherapy.
I don't know if I have another talent, but I think it might have been something sociology kind of thing.
I'm pretty sure I would have ended up working on art history or cultural heritage, and I'm still like every day trying to find the connections between law and language and arbitrary decision making in cultural heritage law or something like that, so I can bring everything together. But I would have definitely worked on in a museum or art gallery.
So I would have become a lawyer, but that would have been a mistake. If I knew then what I know now, I probably would have gone into working with homeless.
I never thought about anything else.
An opera singer or a vet? A painter, a baker, or a spy?
How damaging gossip is. Academic gossip is just remarkably harmful. We talk about harms every day. We sit around all day long talking about paternalism and coercion and how harms happen to others. And those of us in criminal law spend all this time talking about what to criminalize and why should we punish. And all of the harms we talk about in the academy are largely academic in the pejorative to us. But we harm one another every day through academic gossip. And it is devastating. It locks people in stereotypes that are communicated to others, and they never get out of those boxes, or if they do, it's a small miracle that they do, because we traffic in false information. And we love it, because of course gossip is only fun and juicy when it's actually a little bit false. And so I wish we talked more about the harms we did to one another on a daily basis in the academy, where ideas are the currency of our profession and ideas about one another are trafficked on a regular basis, and there's no truth checking to be had. And so I'd like to talk about sort of the wrongs we perpetrate within the academy.
I'm going to go with the way in which quality reasoning and excellence is so deeply constructed along norms of whiteness and patriarchy, and it informs people's thinking in ways that most people don't even understand or reflect upon. And that's not to say no one's talking about that in academia. Obviously people are, but I think it's a conversation that just needs to be imbued throughout the academy and understood by everyone. If we really seek excellence, we should be seeking excellence and not be constructing it in ways that are exclusionary.
How isolating it is as a very general matter, not just that the life of a scholar is lonely, you sit and work by yourself all the time, but that it can be very socially isolating.
Ooh, the false starts. The amount of time you write a paper and then you just have to go, this one isn't getting me where I need to go. But it can come back. It can go in the drawer and it can have a new life some other time, but it's not wasted effort.
Yeah, but I wish there had been more at that time. I mean, I'm old on the differential treatment of women.
That is really intimate.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I think scrutiny of one's work is like actually, it feels like criticism, but often it's just really intimate. And the relationships you have are actually quite intimate because they're about your thoughts.
How status obsessed it is.
Salary.
One thing people talk about but should talk more about is, I think, the impact of social class in work production.
How important community is and building community is, and doing things in a way that's collective.
How unbelievably privileged we are.
How much personality matters.
Mm-hmm. Perhaps we talk too much about administration and too little, and devote too little time to delivering quality teaching. That we should not take life very seriously, that our ideas are not parts of our identity, and that 2 years from now, that draft we love so much is going to make us laugh.